Welcome to today's video where we will take you into the fascinating world of rare and valuable coins, a topic that has always captured the imagination of collectors, investors, and history enthusiasts alike, and in this particular discussion we are going to unfold the captivating story of the 1968 United States one-dime coin that, while carrying the humble face value of only 10 cents, has been known in certain cases to be valued as high as $786,000 due to a combination of rare errors, mint mark issues, and extraordinary mistakes during production, making it one of those hidden treasures in numismatics that may look ordinary to the untrained eye but holds extraordinary worth once its unique features are properly identified and understood. So let us begin with the context of the 1968 dime itself, which was part of the Roosevelt dime series first issued in 1946 to honor President Franklin D. Roosevelt after his passing, a design that has remained relatively unchanged since then, with the obverse showing the left-facing profile of Roosevelt and the reverse depicting a torch flanked by olive and oak branches symbolizing liberty, peace, and strength. And the year 1968 marks a particularly interesting chapter because it was one of the transitional times when mint marks were being restored after having been removed in 1965 during the coinage shortage crisis, meaning the location of the mint mark and its appearance or absence on certain coins from that year can drastically affect the coin's rarity and value. And in the world of numismatics where a small detail can make a world of difference, the 1968 dime presents a perfect case study of how an ordinary-looking coin can turn into a fortune, because in this year dimes were produced at multiple facilities including Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco, with the mint mark being placed on the obverse to the left of Roosevelt's neck. And because mint mark placement was done manually at that time, errors such as misplaced marks, doubled marks, or completely missing marks can be found, which makes certain varieties of the 1968 dime incredibly desirable to collectors who seek rarity and uniqueness. And one of the most famous anomalies is the 1968 no S-proof dime, a coin struck at the San Francisco Mint but released without the expected S mint mark, which instantly transforms it from a common proof coin worth perhaps a few dollars into a legendary rarity that can command prices in the hundreds of thousands of dollars at auction, with some specimens recorded selling close to the unbelievable figure of $786,000 because of their extreme rarity and the intense demand among elite collectors. And when you think about it, this makes perfect sense because while millions of ordinary 1968 dimes exist and circulate with little more than face value, a true mint error like a missing mint mark proof represents only a handful of examples out of an entire mintage, essentially making it a 1 in a million discovery. For anyone lucky enough to stumble upon it in a collection, a proof set, or even in loose change, though most are long since in the hands of experts. And beyond the famous no S variety, there are also other error types that can increase the value dramatically, such as double-die obverse coins where the details of Roosevelt's portrait or the lettering appear doubled due to misalignment during striking, off-center strikes where the coin design is not properly aligned with the planchette, creating dramatic blank spaces, broad strikes where the collar fails to contain the planchette and the coin spreads out larger than normal, clipped planches where a portion of the coin is missing due to a cutting error in the blanking process, and even die cracks or cuts where the die itself breaks and leaves unusual raised lines or blobs on the coin's surface, all of which contribute to creating unique one-of-a-kind pieces that collectors eagerly chase. And when you combine the allure of minting errors with the historical background of the late 1960s coin production era, you get a perfect storm that makes the 1968 dime such an extraordinary story in the coin world. And consider the psychology of collectors for a moment, because rarity is the ultimate driver of value. And the 1968 no S-proof dime has rarity in abundance since only a tiny handful were mistakenly struck without the mint mark before the error was caught, meaning that for the top echelon of collectors who want to own the rarest and most famous US coin errors, paying hundreds of thousands of dollars is not only acceptable but necessary to outbid rivals at auction. And history shows us exactly this, with auction houses like Heritage Auctions and Stack's Bowers having handled such coins with record-breaking prices achieved. And it is important for any coin enthusiast watching this video to understand that the path from 10 cents to $750,000 is not about luck alone but about knowledge, research, and awareness of the kinds of mistakes that transform a coin's destiny. Because the average person might pass over an unusual dime without thinking twice, while a seasoned numismatist immediately recognizes the telltale signs of an error and preserves it. And this is why education in the coin world is so powerful. And in the case of the 1968 dime, education reveals that its incredible worth is tied not just to condition, grade, or silver content but to a series of minting quirks that escape the Quality control of the United States Mint, and when such a coin survives in pristine condition, graded by professional services like PCGS or NGC at high levels such as PR 68 or higher, the astronomical prices make headlines in the collecting community, drawing attention even from people outside of numismatics who marvel at how a small, seemingly ordinary dime can be more valuable than a luxury home. And when we think about all the possibilities that could exist for errors in that year alone, the imagination runs wild, because any off-metal strike, experimental planchet, or unintentional variation could potentially exist hidden in collections or tucked away in old proof sets waiting to be discovered. And this sense of mystery and treasure hunting is exactly what makes coin collecting so addictive and exciting, because behind every coin there could be a story, and behind every story there could be immense value. And the 1968 dime teaches us a powerful lesson that even the smallest object can carry historical importance, technical intrigue, and life-changing financial value. And for those who are new to the hobby, the key takeaway is to never underestimate the importance of examining your coins carefully, learning the minting history of each year, and staying aware of what kinds of errors exist, because as the tale of the 1968 dime shows, one coin can mean the difference between pocket change and nearly $1 million. And while not everyone will be fortunate enough to find such a rarity, the excitement of the hunt, the thrill of possibility, and the joy of discovery are what keeps collectors engaged year after year, generation after generation, as they pass down both knowledge and coins themselves. And ultimately, the 1968 dime stands not just as a piece of money but as a testament to the fact that human error, chance, and circumstance can elevate a tiny piece of metal into a legendary artifact of immense worth. And as long as collectors remain passionate and auctions continue to break records, the fame of this coin and its staggering $786,000 valuation will endure as one of the greatest stories in American coinage history, reminding us that treasures are often hidden in plain sight, just waiting to be noticed, studied, and cherished. Where we dive deep into the fascinating world of coin collecting, rare numismatics, and hidden treasures that might just be sitting in your pocket change without you even realizing their immense value. And today's discussion is going to focus on a truly extraordinary piece of American coinage history, the 1976 one-dime coin from the United States that has shocked collectors and auction houses alike by being valued at an astonishing $0.57 million, a number so far beyond its original face value of just 10 cents that it leaves people amazed and eager to understand what makes a small coin like this command such a staggering price. And in order to really appreciate the significance of this, we need to understand that coins are not just everyday objects used for buying and selling, but in many cases they are pieces of history, pieces of art, and pieces of human error that, when combined with rarity and demand, can result in astronomical prices. And the 1976 dime is a shining example of this phenomenon, because while millions of dimes were minted in that year to celebrate the bicentennial era of American independence, only a handful of them have surfaced with extraordinary minting mistakes, mint mark errors, and striking anomalies that make them drastically different from the ordinary coins we see in circulation. And this difference is exactly what transforms them from being worth 10 cents into being worth over $500,000. Now, one of the biggest factors that gives the 1976 dime such remarkable value is the presence of minting errors, because coin errors are something that collectors actively seek and prize, whether it is double strikes, off-center strikes, missing elements, or incorrect mint marks. And in the case of the 1976 dime, a combination of these possibilities has been discovered, ranging from coins without the expected mint mark, coins with misaligned designs, and coins that show unusual doubling on key inscriptions like Liberty or the date itself. And these are the types of small details that may seem insignificant to the average person but can completely change the trajectory of a coin's desirability among collectors. And when you think about how many dimes were minted in 1976 across facilities such as Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco, you start to realize how rare and unusual it is for only a tiny fraction to show these remarkable mistakes, which is why when one of these rare pieces is authenticated and brought to auction, the bidding war that follows drives the price into the hundreds of thousands of dollars and sometimes even past $500,000. Another reason this coin is so valuable is the historical context of 1976 itself, because that year was not just any ordinary year, it was America's bicentennial year, marking 200 years since the Declaration of Independence. And although the dime was not one of the main denominations to receive a special bicentennial reverse design like the quarter, half dollar, or dollar coin, it still holds symbolic importance as a coin struck in that period, and any unusual piece from that time becomes doubly Important for collectors who want to capture the spirit of that celebration through coins. So when you take a coin that is both tied to America's bicentennial year and layered with minting errors that make it one of a kind, you have a recipe for an ultra-valuable rarity. Now when we specifically talk about the 1976 dime worth $0.57 million, it is said to exhibit what is known as a mint mark error, meaning that the small letter that is supposed to designate the mint where the coin was produced, such as D for Denver or S for San Francisco, may be missing, misplaced, or incorrectly punched. And in some cases this has been verified through professional grading companies that certify coins as genuine rarities, and once a coin has been graded and given a label confirming such an error, it becomes part of a very elite club of coins that can no longer be compared to ordinary dimes, because the supply is so limited that demand skyrockets and collectors are willing to pay extraordinary sums just to secure ownership of such a piece, which explains how a coin originally meant to serve as pocket change can instead become the highlight of a world-class collection. To put this into perspective, think about the fact that out of the millions of dimes struck in 1976, the vast majority remain worth only 10 cents, a slightly larger group might be worth $1 or $2 if they are in pristine condition, but only a tiny handful, perhaps just a few examples, show these rare and dramatic errors. And it is this extreme rarity that transforms their market price into something that sounds almost unreal, and yet auction results and collector demand prove that this is not only real but also a growing trend as more and more people discover the excitement of coin collecting and are willing to pay top dollar for pieces of history that can never be recreated. Now it is also important to consider the role of condition in determining the value of a 1976 dime with errors, because even among rare error coins, the level of preservation makes a massive difference, and coins that have been well kept, showing minimal wear, crisp details, and strong luster, are valued much higher than coins that have circulated heavily and show scratches, discoloration, or fading. So when you have a rare error combined with superb condition, the coin achieves what numismatists call the perfect storm of desirability, and that is precisely the situation with the 1976 dime that sold for or was valued at $0.57 million, because not only was it rare in terms of its mint mark error, but it was also preserved in such extraordinary condition that collectors were willing to push its value into the record-breaking range. Furthermore, another factor to understand is that the coin market is not static but rather dynamic and influenced by trends, stories, and collector passions, and when news spreads of a particular coin selling for an extraordinary sum, it creates a ripple effect that increases interest in similar coins. So the fame of the $0.57 million 1976 dime has also boosted the attention given to other error dimes from the 1970s, and this broader interest has driven up values across the board, showing how a single extraordinary sale can energize an entire segment of the numismatic market. At this point you may be wondering how ordinary people can spot such coins and whether it is even possible that you might have one of these extraordinary dimes sitting in a jar of spare change at home. And the answer is that while the chances are extremely slim, they are not zero, because history shows us that many valuable coins have been found by chance in circulation or in old collections passed down through families, and so the key is awareness, knowing what to look for, and understanding that small details such as a missing mint mark, unusual doubling, or a strange strike can completely alter the value of a coin. And that is exactly why collectors spend so much time inspecting their coins under magnification and learning to identify the subtleties that distinguish a common coin from a fortune. When you combine all these elements, the historical significance of 1976 as the bicentennial year, the presence of mint mark errors and striking mistakes, the rarity of such errors surviving in high grade, and the intense demand from collectors, you begin to see why the 1976 dime is capable of being worth $0.57 million, and why this tiny piece of metal, which was originally designed only to represent 10 cents in the economy, has instead become a legendary item in the coin collecting community, a symbol of how history, chance, and human imperfection can intersect to create something truly extraordinary. And this story serves as a reminder that even the smallest, most ordinary-looking objects can hold hidden treasures if you know where and how to look, and that is what makes coin collecting not just a hobby but a journey of discovery where every coin has a story, every mistake can become a miracle, and every dime, even one from 1976, can potentially hold the power to change someone's life if it turns out to be one of those rare treasures valued at over $500,000. collectibles, and the incredible stories behind small pieces of metal that sometimes turn into treasures worth life-changing sums of money. And in this video we are going to explore the astonishing case of the 2000p 1 dime USA coin, which carries a face value of just 10 cents but has become a collector's dream due to its extraordinary errors, mint mark mistakes, and rare variations that can make its value soar as high as $0.34 million. A truly mind-blowing fact when you think of how an everyday coin that most people don't even bother to look at closely can end up being worth hundreds of thousands of times more than what is stamped on its surface. So let's talk about why this dime is so valuable, what kinds of errors have been reported, and what possibilities exist when a coin like this comes out of the mint with characteristics that are anything but ordinary. Because errors are not just mistakes, they are windows into history, mechanical quirks, human oversight, and circumstances that can create absolute rarity in the coin collecting market. And when we talk about the 2000p dime, we must first understand that the P mint mark represents the Philadelphia Mint, which has produced billions of coins over the years, most of them flawless and ordinary. But every now and then a small batch or even a single coin slips through the rigorous quality control process and reaches circulation carrying a variety of anomalies such as off-center strikes, double dies, planchette flaws, or misplaced mint marks. And it is exactly these anomalies that drive collectors wild and cause bidding wars in auctions, because the scarcer and more dramatic the error, the higher the value climbs. And in the case of the 2000p dime, several error types have been recorded and speculated upon by experts and enthusiasts, including double strike errors where the coin is struck twice by the die, resulting in overlapping images that give the design a ghostly appearance, broad strike errors where the retaining collar fails and the coin spreads out larger than normal, creating an unusual shape that stands out immediately, and off-metal planchette errors where the dime is accidentally struck on a blank meant for a different denomination such as a cent or a foreign coin planchette, which not only makes the piece unique but also reveals the chaotic and highly mechanical nature of minting at a facility producing coins at massive scale. And then we have mint mark errors, which often prove to be among the most popular because the mint mark is a crucial identifier for collectors, and in 2000 the Philadelphia Mint was the sole facility using the P mint mark on dimes. So when anything unusual happens to that mark, such as a repunched mint mark, a missing mint mark, or a misplaced mint mark, the coin instantly becomes desirable, because collectors chase varieties that depart from the norm. And we must remember that while billions of ordinary dimes exist from that year, only a tiny fraction carry these anomalies, and rarity combined with demand is the perfect recipe for value, which is why this 2000p dime has fetched astronomical sums up to $340,000 or more in auctions and private sales, depending on condition, provenance, and error type. And what makes it even more exciting is the fact that most of these coins circulate unnoticed for years until a sharp-eyed collector, a casual hobbyist, or even just an ordinary person rummaging through change happens to notice something strange, and in that moment of discovery, a 10-cent coin transforms into a fortune, and the thrill of such discoveries fuels the coin collecting community, keeping interest alive for decades as people search for that one in a billion piece that can change their financial life. And when we think about the possibilities surrounding the 2000p dime, we must also consider variations in strike quality, die cracks, die clashes where parts of the design from one side of the coin transfer faintly to the other due to a die striking without a planchette in place, and rotated die errors where the alignment between obverse and reverse is incorrect, sometimes by a noticeable angle. And all these factors combine to create a wide range of collectible errors, each with its own degree of desirability. But when you encounter dramatic examples like a double denomination error where a dime is struck over a cent or quarter planchette, the result can be almost surreal, with visible designs of two different coins overlapping and giving the piece a museum-like quality. And such examples can fetch prices beyond imagination, which is why collectors guard their error coin collections like treasure chests, and dealers keep detailed records of auctions where extraordinary pieces change hands, fueling both speculation and education for those who are eager to learn. And while some skeptics may ask why anyone would pay hundreds of thousands for a coin worth 10 cents, the answer lies in the psychology of rarity, the beauty of mistakes preserved in metal, and the prestige of owning something that virtually no one else in the world possesses. Because in collectibles markets, from art to stamps to coins, rarity and uniqueness are king. And when we add historical context such as the turn of the millennium when the 2000p dime was struck, it gains even more allure, being part of a transitional era in minting technology and public sentiment, which only enhances its storytelling power. And storytelling is what collectors buy into, because each error coin tells a story of how it escaped the mint, how it survived circulation, and how it was eventually recognized for its true worth, and the 2000p dime valued at $0.34 million is no different. It is a testament to human error, mechanical imperfection, and the unending curiosity of collectors who keep searching for the next big discovery in their pocket change. And so as we explore this incredible coin, we encourage everyone to check their change jars, old coin rolls, and even wallets, because hidden treasures do exist, and you never know if you might be holding onto a dime that could turn into a small fortune, because history has proven time and again that ordinary people stumble upon extraordinary finds, and the excitement of coin collecting thrives on these stories, turning hobbies into investments and loose change into legendary tales that inspire future generations of collectors to keep looking, keep learning, and keep hoping that the next great coin discovery might just be in their hands. Everyone, and thank you for joining today as we dive into the fascinating world of coin collecting and rare coin values, where sometimes the smallest piece of change in your pocket can actually be worth a fortune. And today's focus is on the 2015 D1 dime coin from the United States of America, a coin that carries a face value of just 10 cents but under certain extraordinary circumstances has been reported to have an incredible value reaching as high as $450,000. A staggering difference that sparks interest and curiosity among collectors, investors, historians, and casual hobbyists alike, because the idea that such an ordinary dime minted in the year 2015 at the Denver Mint with a simple D mint mark could be worth nearly $500,000 seems unbelievable until you begin to understand the rare world of minting errors, die mistakes, variations, and unique possibilities that transform an everyday coin into a treasure. To begin with, it is important to understand what makes coins valuable beyond their face value, and in the case of the 2015 D dime we must look into the factors of rarity, condition, provenance, and most importantly error types, because coin errors are the heart of this incredible jump in value, and errors occur during the minting process when a coin is not struck exactly as intended, whether through mechanical issues, human oversight, or flaws in the die or planchette, and collectors prize such coins because they are not only unusual but also represent a deviation from the millions of normal pieces that enter circulation, making them unique in a sea of uniformity. The 2015 D dime has gained attention in the numismatic community because of reports of extraordinary mint mark errors where the D indicating the Denver Mint has appeared misplaced, doubled, faded, or in some cases completely missing, and such a misprint can drastically alter the value of the coin since mint marks are critical in identifying origin and rarity. And a missing or doubled mint mark is a classic error highly desired by collectors. Furthermore, some 2015 D dimes have been reported with striking errors such as off-center strikes where the design is not properly aligned, leaving blank areas or distorted images, or broad strikes where the coin is struck outside the retaining collar resulting in an expanded size and unusual shape, and even more exotic errors such as die clashes where designs overlap, or struck through errors where foreign material like grease, cloth, or other debris leaves an imprint on the coin surface. Each of these unique issues makes the coin stand apart and increases its desirability. Collectors are willing to pay extraordinary sums for such rare anomalies because they understand that these mistakes are not supposed to exist, and when they do, they exist only in very small numbers compared to the massive mintages of regular flawless dimes. So in the vast ocean of coins, a handful of misprints are like hidden pearls waiting to be discovered. Now, when we talk about the 2015 D dime worth $0.45 million, it is crucial to realize that the high valuation comes from extremely rare error examples, often combined with pristine conditions like being in mint state or uncirculated condition, graded by professional agencies such as PCGS or NGC, where a coin receives a high grade like MS68 or MS69, which further boosts the value, because a rare error in poor condition may still attract buyers but not command the same astronomical figures, while an error in near-perfect state can push bidders into frenzy at auctions, leading to six-figure results. The stories of people finding rare coins in pocket change, jars, drawers, or inherited collections have inspired countless treasure hunts across America and the world, and the 2015 D dime has become one of those fascinating stories that show how modern coins too, not just old 19th century rarities, can hold immense value when errors are involved. And this excites a younger generation of collectors who might otherwise overlook modern coinage. The Denver Mint is known for producing billions of coins annually, and human error, machine malfunctions, or tiny oversights are inevitable. But what makes a coin valuable is not just the error but its scarcity and uniqueness, because if too many examples of the same mistake exist, the value is diluted, yet when only a handful exist they become legendary within the community, often being featured in numismatic journals, auction catalogs, and coin shows where experts and enthusiasts marvel at their oddity. Another important aspect of the 2015 D-Dime's value is speculation and collector demand, because value is not a fixed number but rather determined by what someone is willing to pay, and when a coin develops a reputation or media attention, its desirability increases, attracting more bidders and pushing the price higher. And this is why some rare 2015 D-era dimes have reportedly achieved values far beyond what most would expect for such a recent issue. It's not just mint mark errors that can elevate the price. Double die errors where parts of the design appear doubled due to a die misalignment are also highly sought after, and some reports of 2015 D-dimes with doubling on Roosevelt's profile or the inscriptions such as Liberty or In God We Trust have further elevated interest, as these varieties can command thousands and in some cases hundreds of thousands if the doubling is bold and the coin remains in high grade. Then there are transitional errors where a coin is accidentally struck on a planchet intended for another denomination or metal composition, and while extremely rare, such errors are known to exist in various years, so the possibility of a 2015 D-dime struck on the wrong planchet excites collectors because it combines modern minting with an old-fashioned mistake that can make headlines. Imagine finding such a dime in your pocket change, a coin so small yet carrying a potential windfall of nearly $500,000. And this is what fuels the imagination of coin hunters, because the idea that wealth can be hidden in plain sight in ordinary pockets and purses is both thrilling and inspiring, and it keeps the tradition of coin collecting alive and vibrant. Beyond errors, even variations in luster, toning, and strike quality can add appeal, as unique rainbow toning or attractive patterns formed through natural oxidation can make a coin stand out aesthetically and draw premium bids at auctions, showing that beauty also plays a role alongside rarity in determining ultimate value. The 2015 D-Dime story also highlights the importance of education and awareness in coin collecting, because many people might unknowingly spend or discard such coins not realizing their extraordinary value, while those with knowledge or curiosity who examine their change carefully stand a chance of discovering a life-changing treasure, and this is why numismatic education through books, videos, coin shows, and online communities is so important to spread awareness of what to look for. When you think about it, the 2015 D-Dime being worth $0.45 million is not just about a coin, it's about the larger story of human curiosity, mistakes turning into treasures, and the value we place on uniqueness, because in a world where billions of coins look the same, a single one that is different becomes priceless in the eyes of those who cherish rarity. Collectors often say that errors make coins come alive because they tell a story of imperfection, of the human and mechanical process behind minting, and each error coin carries with it a narrative of how something went wrong but in the end created something extraordinary, and the 2015 D-Dime is a perfect example of this principle where a tiny mistake leads to a staggering reward. The fascination with such coins also ties into the broader psychology of collecting, where humans are driven to seek, find, and own things that are scarce and unique, and the thrill of hunting for a rare 2015 D-Dime in circulation is not just about money but also about discovery, identity, and connection to history. It's incredible to think that in a jar of coins sitting in your kitchen cabinet or in a handful of change given at a grocery store there could be a dime that has the potential to change your financial future, and this is why awareness of rare coins is so powerful. People have told stories of finding valuable coins unexpectedly, and these tales inspire others to check their change, keep their eyes open, and dream of striking it rich, and while not everyone will find a $500,000 dime, the possibility keeps the excitement alive. For the 2015 D-Dime specifically, numismatists believe that only a handful of such high-value error examples exist, and this scarcity combined with high collector demand explains the $0.45 million valuation, making it a modern marvel of coin collecting. As more people become aware of these possibilities, the search intensifies, fueling a cycle of discovery, collection, auction, and storytelling that ensures coins like the 2015 D-Dime will remain famous for generations. So while most dimes are worth only 10 cents, remember that hidden among them may be one that tells a much greater story, a story of errors, mint marks, mistakes, and rarity, and one that could turn ordinary pocket change into a once-in-a-lifetime treasure worth nearly $500,000, and that is why coin collecting continues to be one of the most fascinating hobbies and investments today, inspiring countless people to look closer at the everyday objects in their lives because sometimes the smallest things carry the biggest surprises.